Hello, matriculants. Welcome to the Grade 12 Tourism June 2026 memo discussion. So bear in mind that the paper is 3 hours long, then the mark allocation is 200. Then now going straight into the instructions and the information, I think this is, you're familiar with this one. We go through all the 5 sections. We answer all the questions in the 5 sections. Wherever you're given calculations, you should round off your answers to correct 2 decimal places. Then you show all calculations because you get a mark for all stages of different calculations. You're encouraged to have a calculator. Then moving straight to the structure, it consists of short questions, map work and tour planning, then also your foreign exchange there, tourism attractions, marketing, domestic, regional, and international tourism. So the total is mark allocation, that will be 200 marks. Now straight into the questions. 1.1.1. Various options are provided as possible answers to the following questions. Choose the answer and write only the letter A to D next to the question number 1.1.1 to 1.1.20. So we do have the first question, which reads, a Japanese tourist on a flight to Johannesburg who most likely to suffer from. So when we look at the direction of travel, when we have a Japanese traveling from South Africa to Johannesburg, they would suffer from a condition which is known as jet lag. The reason why we are choosing jet lag, I can refer to the map, the time zone map, which we have here, simply because this person will be flying, or this tourist will be flying from here straight to Johannesburg in South Africa. So the direction of travel will be like this. So if you can look at this, you'll notice that in Tokyo, they are in the +9 time zone. Then in South Africa, they use the +2 time zone. So the passenger or the tourist would definitely suffer from jet lag, a condition which is experienced by crossing several time zones. Moving to the next question, A or N. A health certificate is one of the required documents to enter South Africa. So the correct answer here would be a yellow fever health certificate. This is one of the requirements which are required for tourists who are coming into South Africa. Then 1.1.3, ecotourism is the best example of. Ecotourism, that is the tourism which is to do with the visiting of places where you find flora and fauna, that is your trees, your plants, and also your animals. So it is a typical example of responsible tourism. Then 1.1.4, when participants from all over the world travel to various destinations to participate in various sporting events, this can be classified as this is known as a global event. The correct answer there will be global event. Then 1.1.5 is a bacterial disease transmitted mainly through contaminated food and water in areas where poor sanitation and hygiene, where there is poor sanitation and hygiene. So this is associated with cholera. Cholera amongst these diseases is the one which is mainly associated with contaminated food and also which is associated with poor sanitation and poor hygiene. Then 1.1.6, a tourist profile should include information about. So a tourist profile should include information about the traveler's needs, preferences, and also his or her budget. It should include information about the traveler's needs, preferences, and also the budget. Now moving on to 1.1.7, the icon that is associated with the mass killing of people, which is also known as the Holocaust. Yes, that was the mass killing of of people. The Holocaust during the Second World War is known as, or it is found in which country? It is located in Poland, and it is known as Auschwitz. So B will be our correct letter there. Then 1.1.8, the multiplier effect. When you're looking at the multiplier effect, it So the question basically is looking at how it occurs. It occurs when money filters down through the economy and benefits other organizations within a region or a country. When money filters down through the economy and it benefits other organizations within a region or a country. 1.1.9, core markets are referred to. So core markets are referred to established markets. Okay, let's look for the correct answer here. 1.1.9, core markets. They refer to established markets with high tourist volumes and strong growth potential. So we are settling for the letter A for this one. Then 1.1.10, the 1% TOMSA levy is collected by these sectors. It is collected by accommodation, rental, and tour operators, which are represented by the letter A. So we are settling for the letter A. So it is collected by accommodation, establishment, car rental companies, and tourism-related businesses. Then the time for midnight. So when we are using the 24-hour notation, when we want to represent midnight, we write 00, then we put a semicolon there, then we put another 0. So this is the time for midnight. The correct answer there would be the letter B. 1.1.12, a strong rand will result in. So they want what a strong rand will result in. So 1.1.12, it will result in limited international visitors to South Africa. It actually discourages tourists from visiting South Africa. So it results in limited international visitors to South Africa. Then 1.1.13, the national anthem of the Republic of South Africa represents the of South Africa. It consists of verses which are sung in different languages. So that actually points towards the diversity of South Africa, the cultural diversity of South Africa. That is the side-by-side existence of people from different cultural backgrounds. Then 1.1.4, the reason why countries practice DST. So DST is mainly adopted as a measure to boost the tourism industry. People would adjust their clocks by 1 hour ahead. They knock off early. Then they can engage in tourist activities or in leisure activities. 1.1.15, good environmental practices include the use of. Good environmental practices would involve the use of the following. Energy efficient bulbs. It actually resonates, or it goes along with the principle of reducing the usage of energy. So the use of energy efficient light bulbs would be the recommended practice there. 1.1.16, the picture below represents a cultural World Heritage Site in Gauteng. So as you can see in the image, the main thing which is depicted there is evolution. So we are looking for a World Heritage Site which is associated with evidence of the evolution of mankind. So this is known as the fossil hominid sites of South Africa. That is the correct answer there. Then the WTM, which is also known as the World Travel Market, is held in. The World Travel Market takes place in London, that is in the United Kingdom. It takes place in London or in the UK. 1.1.18, the economic pillar is supported when? The economic pillar, which is also known as the profit pillar, it is supported when there is local procurement, when there is the buying or the procurement and ownership of products is locally based. When there is local procurement and local ownership of products, then the bank selling rate is always higher than the bank buying rate, simply because banks when they perform transactions, they charge for transactions so that they can also get profit or they can get an income. 1.1.20, increased visitors and time spent at an attraction will result in increased visitor numbers and time spent at an attraction will result in, it actually results in in fewer repeat destinations, or let's compare it with the next one, with increased visitor numbers and time spent at an attraction will result in income exceeding targeted figures. So the correct answer here would be the letter B. The income would exceed the targeted figures. Then 1.2, give one word or term for each of the following descriptions by choosing a word or a term from the list below. Write only the word or term next to the question numbers 1.2.1 to 1.2.5 in the answer book. The Iran war is an example of so that is a typical example of a political situation. That is a typical example of a political situation. So the missing word there will be political. Then moving on to the next one, 1.2.2, the impact of fewer tourists and less money in an economy would lead to the impact of fewer tourists and less money on an economy would lead to a recession. The correct word which we are looking for there is recession. Then 1.2.3, in tourism, the term expenditure refers to the money spent whilst you are on a tour or whilst you are traveling. Money spent whilst you are on a tour or whilst you are traveling. Then 1.2.4, the bus accident injuring many tourists during a peak holiday season will lead to negative publicity. It actually results in negative publicity. It results in negative publicity. Then 1.2.5, tourists from Zimbabwe entering South Africa at the Beitbridge border post form part of the tourists who are from Zimbabwe entering South Africa. They form part of the land markets simply because they enter through land borders. So those are the correct answers for that particular question 1.3. All right, now 1.3, the instruction which we have there, choose the correct words or words from those given in brackets, write only the words next to the question numbers. So in this case, we are choosing the correct word. I'll be highlighting the correct word from those which are given. So the bank will use which rate does the bank use when a German tourist at OR Tambo exchanges 1,000 euro to rand? They use the bank buying rate. They use BBR, which is also known as the bank buying rate. All right, 1.3.2, buying products made from recyclable material will result in a reduced carbon footprint. It results in a reduced carbon footprint. Then 1.3.3, the process of recycling, reusing, and reducing is an example of, that is a typical example of waste management. When you recycle, that is a typical example of proper waste management. Then 1.3.4, the economic pillar is also known as the profit pillar. It is also known as the profit pillar. Then 1.3.5, the currency exchange rate sheet contains figures indicating the code or the value of other currencies in terms of local currency. Match the description in column A with the organization in column B. Okay, before we do that, I think there's an omission then. 1.3.5, the currency exchange rate sheet contains figures indicating the value of currencies in terms of local currency. So the correct answer there will be value. Let me highlight the correct answer there. Then 1.4, match the description in column A with the organization's logo in column B. Write only the letter next to the question number 1.5.1 to 1.5.5 in the answer book. So we have 1.4.1, investing in local communities and environment to foster sustainable development. So this is done by, by an initiative which is known as CSI, which in full is known as Corporate Social Investment. So the correct letter there will be the letter D, Corporate Social Investment. Then a non-profit organization promoting responsible tourism in South Africa. So the name of the organization is known as Fair Trade Tourism. This is represented, this is the logo. It is represented by the letter F. That is Fair Trade Tourism, which is represented by the letter F. FTT, sorry, that is Fair Trade Tourism. 1.4.3, marketing the attraction. Marketing the attraction is associated with, okay, organizations which are associated with marketing the attraction, there's an element of ambiguity here, but I need to point it out. Under such circumstances, B can be an accepted answer there. Then C also can be accepted. So B or C can be accepted answers there, but simply because we are going to, for the next question, we are going to be opting for C, so we might settle with B there. So 1.4.4, the world's leading travel trade show held in Berlin. It is known as the ITB. So that is the one associated with what? With C. But it is important to stress that both events are related to the process of what? Of marketing. Then moving on to 1.4.5, the body for quality assurance in South Africa's tourism industry, assessing and grading establishments like hotel. It is known as the Tourism Grading Council. It's known as the TGCSA, the Tourism Grading Council. All right. Now moving on to the next question. Study the picture in the crossword puzzle. And the clues down and across that follow, complete the crossword puzzle with the name of the World Heritage Site for questions 1.5.1 to 1.5.2 down, and the province where the site is found for the clues which go across. Write only the name of the World Heritage Site. So what do we have in 1.5.1? What we have in 1.5.1, which is this one, we have the Maluti Drakensberg. We have the Maluti Drakensberg Park. So that is 1.5.1. That is the Maluti Drakensberg Park. Now moving on to the next question. The next question will be 1.5.2. 1.5.2, what appears there? It is Mapungubwe Cultural Landscape. Mapungubwe Cultural Landscape. Then the next one will be our Robben Island 1.5.3. This will be your Robben Island, but let's look at what the question wants. It needs across 1.5.3. Okay, the name has been given, so we are not looking for the name. So let's fix something here. So they are looking for the province. Across, we are looking for the province. So the province is the Western That is the Western Cape. So across, that will be the provinces. That will be the Western Cape. Now, when you look at for 1.5.4, yes, we have been given the name, the hominid fossil sites of South Africa, which are also known as the cradle of humankind. All right. For this one, it is mainly dominated in what? In Gauteng. Gauteng province. But let me also emphasize that Northwest can be accepted simply because they stretch, the sites also stretch to the Northwest. They cover other Northwestern towns like Taung's Child, for example, it is located in the Northwest. So Gauteng or Northwest or Gauteng stroke Northwest can be an accepted, can be an acceptable answer there. Then the next one, Richtersveld Cultural and Botanical Landscape. This is located in the Northern Cape, and it covers part of Namaqualand. So this is located in the Northern Cape. So just a quick rundown, 1.5.1 Maluti Drakensberg Park, then 1.5.2 Mapungubwe Cultural Landscape, 1.5.3 Western Cape, then 1.5.4, that is the hominid fossil sites of South Africa, which are located jointly in Gauteng and also in the Northwest. Then the last one, which will be Richtersveld Cultural and Botanical Landscape, will be located, which is located rather in the Northern Cape. Now moving straight ahead to the next question. That is section B, map work and tour planning, foreign exchange, question 2. So question 2 would read, study the world time zone map and answer the questions that follows. So basically this is our world time zone map. We'll make extensive use of it when we are doing our calculations. Then we go straight to the scenario. And as you be reading the scenario, it's important for you to highlight the key pieces of information which are provided. So it reads, for South African friends, they depart from OR Tambo International Airport at 1800, that is South African local time. Then the date of departure is the 8th of June, 2026. Their destination is Mexico. Their arrangement is as follows. They depart OR Tambo to Atlanta. So they first go to Atlanta. That journey or that leg, that first leg, it lasts for 16 hours, 30 minutes. Then there's a stopover at Atlanta. So that's the layover time. They spend more time at Atlanta. Then they leave Atlanta to Mexico. This flight would last 3 hours, 40 minutes. Then we have fortunately also been provided with the total flying time, which is listed as 26 hours, 40 minutes. Now the question requires us to calculate the time and the date for South Africans. Calculate the time and date for South Africans fans in Mexico local time, the arrival time, that is what they are looking for. They need that in Mexican time. All right, so for this one, the first thing or the first stage which we need to determine their point of departure or where they are coming from. They are coming from SA. I'll just write it as SA. They depart SA. SA is in the +2 time zone. Then where are they going? We identify the second city. They are going to Mexico. Which is in the -6 time zone. Mexico lies in the -6 time zone. So the first thing which we need to determine is the time difference. So that's where we would say, basically we are saying -6 and -2 would get an hour, 8-hour time difference. We say +2 minus +6, that is a time difference of 8 hours. You can also determine this difference if you are not good at it mathematically. I encourage you to use them the times on map. So here is +2, then here is -6. So we need to count using a number line. So you start your counting from +2. So that will be your first hour 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's how we determined the time difference between the two. So there's an 8-hour time difference. Then we are now looking at departure. According to Mexican time, the departure was 1800 or 1800 hours minus 8 hours, which gives us 10 hours. So then, this is the time of departure from Mexico. So they departed at 10:00 hours. Then what do we do with these 10:00 hours now? We now have our 10:00 hours as the time of departure. Then the whole duration of the journey was 26 hours, 40 minutes. So we add these two. So if we add these two, you notice that there are two ways of adding it. You can do it the mathematical way, whereby you can add them like this: 10:00 plus 2 hours 40 minutes, 0 plus 0, that will give you 0. 0 plus 4, that will be 4. Then 0 plus 6, that's 6. Then we have 36, 40. Then with this 36, 40, we subtract 24 hours from it. Then we get 4 here. 6 minus 2, 12:40. So the time of arrival in Mexico will be 12:40. Then the date has to change simply because they departed on the 8th and we crossed midnight. So that is on the 9th of June 2026. The 9th of June 2026. So this is one way of doing it, but it is important for us to emphasize the fact that before you work on any other calculations, try to change your time to suit Mexican time before you do any other steps of the calculation. Simply because if you skip that stage, you end up having the wrong answer. Now let's move on to the next question. John, the commentator from France, arrived in Mexico at 14:00. That is 2 in the afternoon, June 9th. His flying time was 12 hours. Calculate his departure from what? From France. So what have we been given here? We have been given the arrival time, which is 14:00. Then the flying time, which is 12 hours. So what we need is the departure time. So our formula should be like this. So when you are given arrival time and flying time, we simply do it this way. We need to determine the time in Mexico. So the time difference between Mexico is in the -6 region. Then France is in the +1. Time difference is TD is equals to 7 hours. There's a 7-hour difference between these two cities or these two countries. So what do we do with our 7 hours? We add these 7 hours to the flying time. So 14:00 plus 7 hours, so that we can determine French time. So simply because France is ahead. So 14 plus 7 hours, we end up having 14 plus 7 hours, it will give us 21:00. That was the 21:00, but we don't end there. 21:00 will be subtracted, or we will subtract 12 hours from there, minus 12 hours. it will give us 0900. So this is what we have here is the departure time from France. That will be the departure time from France. The original time was 900. All right, now we need to move on to 2.1.3. Name the condition that will be experienced by people traveling from South Africa to Mexico due to crossing several time zones. So when a passenger or when a person crosses several time zones, they will end up having disorientation, which is known as jet lag. They'll end up experiencing jet lag. So the condition is known as jet lag. 2.2, study the pictures below and answer the questions that follow. So what do we have there? In the first image, we do have yellow fever vaccination. Image B, international certificate as approved by the WHO. Then the question says, or it reads 2.2.1, identify document B. So document B can be referred to as a vaccination certificate. It can be called a vaccination certificate, or it can be called a health certificate. Vaccination certificate, health certificate. Then in addition to that, you can also refer to it as an international certificate of vaccination. So all these three names can be applicable. An international certificate of vaccination. International certificate of vaccination. Then the purpose of that particular document, explain the purpose of document B. All right, document B, it serves as proof. It actually serves as proof that a traveler serves as proof that a traveler, it serves as proof as that a traveler has received the yellow fever vaccination. Fever vaccination. So it serves as proof that the traveler has received the yellow fever vaccination. So that is the main purpose of this document. It serves as proof that a traveler has been vaccinated against yellow fever. So it's the reason why they need this. It actually prevents the spread of yellow fever from certain region to other regions. Then it also helps countries to control the spread of communicable diseases or to prevent disease outbreaks. Then 2.2.3, give the cause of the disease mentioned in picture A. So yellow fever basically is a viral disease. Yellow fever is a viral disease spread by a certain type of M mosquito. Yellow fever is a viral disease. Viral disease spread by a certain type of mosquito. By a certain type of mosquito. It is spread by a certain type of a mosquito. Then 2.2.4, list 2 symptoms of the disease mentioned in picture A that may be experienced by a tourist visiting an infected area. So 2 symptoms can include muscle pain. You feel pain in the muscles, then accompanied by fatigue. Usually there is, you feel like vomiting. So there is the vomiting part of the symptoms as well. Then in addition to that, there is it is accompanied by loss of appetite. In some cases, you can also feel what is known as jaundice. Then the yellowing of skin and eyes. And eyes. So any of those 2 symptoms can be considered as correct answers. Then moving on to the next one. Now we are on the next one. The next question is study the information below and answer the questions that follow. We do have a tourist who is known as Warren. So let's find out more about Warren. Warren had just returned to South Africa after a holiday in India at OR Tambo International Airport. He entered the Green Channel at customs, okay? It's fine. Name the public sector organization responsible for ensuring that travelers comply with relevant customs regulations at SA's international airports. So this is the responsibility of the South African Revenue Service, that is SARS. Then we can also accept South African Revenue Services. Who are nicknamed the taxmen. All right, 3.2. During Warren's trip to India, the temperatures ranged between 35 degrees and 45 degrees Celsius. Advise Warren on the following 2 reasons why he should drink only bottled water. So drinking of bottled water, it avoids the risk of contamination from waterborne diseases, especially in tropical areas or in underdeveloped areas. So it eliminates bottled water. It avoids the risk of contamination It avoids the risk of contamination or of contaminated water, rather. To avoid the risk of contaminated water, which can be associated with waterborne diseases such as cholera and others. Then the second part of the question says 2 reasons. The second reason, to reduce the risk of waterborne diseases like cholera, to avoid the risk of waterborne diseases such as cholera, dysentery, typhoid, etc. So that's why you should take bottled water only. Then 2 reasons why it is important to apply sunscreen. It prevents, sunscreen prevents sunburn or prevents skin damage. Sunscreen prevents skin damage, or it also prevents sunburn. That is 3.2. Moving on to 2.4. Study the itinerary below and answer the questions that follow. So there's an itinerary which is made up of a tour operator is organizing a 3-day tour for 20 international tourists to Cape Town. So on day 1, they are welcomed to Cape Town. We need to highlight the key pieces of information. Then upon arrival, they are transferred to a hotel. They have a city orientation tour, lunch stop, V&A waterfront, return to hotel. During the course of this, they are using a coach. They check in City Hotel for 2 nights, City Bar, photo shops. They have welcome drinks, lunch, dinner, breakfast. Seems they're enjoying life there. Then on day 2, nature and adventure. They depart from hotel. They go to Hood Bay, lunch stop, Cape Point Nature Reserve. Then the trip ends on day 3. That is the culture, where they will be engaging in cultural activities. Now, the question now reads, identify 2 main aspects that must be included in a day-to-day itinerary. So a day-to-day itinerary should answer the following questions. Where? So That is the attractions to be visited. Attractions. Then in addition to attractions, we also have accommodation details. Where are people going to spend their night at? Remember, they are away from home, so they should feel as if they are home away from home. Then transport arrangements. How are they going to those places? So transport is an important aspect as well. Then in addition to that, the meals which are included, meals which are going to, meals included. Then in addition to that, meals included, we should also take part of perhaps time as well. When is that going to take place? The time of meals, time of travel. Then in addition to that, activities. What is going to be undertaken? What is going to take place in the places which have been visited? Then 2.4.2 from the itinerary above suggests 2 improvements that can be made. All right, this itinerary is a basic itinerary with time, attraction, transport, accommodation, activities, and meals. So, possible improvements, they should also include, let's suggest possible improvements on this one. They can also include, specify the name of the hotel. Specify the name of hotel. You can be specific and specify the name of the of hotel so that guests can know what to expect. Then include tour guide details. Tour guide details. You can also include tour guide details. Then in addition to that, there is also a necessity of allowing more time. Allow more time at attractions. At attractions, you can notice that the time is a little bit limited. Then in addition to that, we can also say that it is also important to include additional cultural activities. I think there are fewer cultural activities, more cultural activities. I think most of these activities are more of leisure activities, more cultural activities. So that is what can be done. Then moving on to 2.4.3, explain why logical planning is important. So this one, we are taking it, we are squeezing it in that corner. All right. Logical planning ensures that places are visited in a logical sequence, in a way that makes sense. Sequence. Saving time and money. Moving logically saves time and money. So that is the first thing here. So logical planning ensures that places are visited in a logical sequence, which ensures the saving of of time and money. Then the second part of the question. Okay, the second part of the question. If the group wants more leisure activities on day 2, give 2 suitable activities to add. So let's go to day 2. Where are they going then? They are going to Nature and Adventure, Lunch Stop, Cape Nature Reserve. Then they go to the Cape Point and Cape of Good Hope. On day 2, I would rather suggest water-based activities in order to have more fun. Since they have spent much more time on land, they can actually add more activities like shark cage diving in order to make it much more adventurous. Shark cage diving. Then they can also try snorkeling. They can also try rock climbing, paragliding, paragliding, surfing, kayaking, all those are additional activities which can be added. Now let's go to the next one. Why do tourists use a ferry as a mode of transport on day 3? So if we look at day 3, what's going to take place? That is check out and depart, Robben Island, lunch stop, a transfer to coach and ferry. All right, they are visiting Robben Island. So Robben Island, the ferry carries tourists. The ferry carries tourists across the water to Robben Island. Remember, in order to get to an island, you have to pass through water. So a ferry is a water-based type of transport. Okay. Now, moving on to the next one, it reads, study the tour budget below and answer the questions that follow. We do have travel, accommodation, meals, attractions, activities, then return airport transfers for all tour transport, that is for 3 days, 2 nights, 3-star hotel, twin sharing, breakfast, lunch for 3 days, Table Mountain, Robben Island, Cape Point Aquarium, suggested money spending, 500, guide and tour. Okay. Since 20 tourists joined the tour, what is the total budget for the group? So for this calculation, in order to get, we have 20 tourists, 20 multiplied by, so we are multiplying this times 20. So we are multiplying this given figure by 20. So when you multiply it, it will give you 100. Use your calculator. It will give you 119,000 for the whole group. So it is 20 times 5,950 gives you 119,000. That is the total amount. Then why is it important to include tour tips in a tour budget? 2.5.2. So to reward good service. Good service. To reward good service by guides, waiters, and also drivers. Just to reward good service. When you get good service, then in addition to that, you can also say that it is normal, it is standard industry procedure. It is standard normal procedure to pay tips in the tourism industry. Procedure to pay tips. It's something which is normal in the tourism industry. You are expected to pay tips for good service. Then it will show appreciation for quality service as well. Now moving on to question 3. Study the information below and answer the questions that follow. Define the following terms. But before we do that, I think there's a question which has been omitted. Okay, 2.5.3. So we need to also to handle 2.5.3. 2 ways tour operators can reduce costs. Can reduce costs without lowering the quality of the tour. So the first thing is tour operators can negotiate for group discounts. These people are traveling as a group of 20 people. For group discounts, they can negotiate for group discounts. They can also book accommodation during off-peak periods. Book accommodation during off-peak periods or during promotional periods. There are times when people, when hotels provide promotions, it's cheaper that way. And usually that is during peak periods, during promotional periods or peak periods. Then also negotiate for fixed group menus. For fixed group menus. And arrange buffet meals. Meals for larger groups. Then also book in advance. In advance. Also book in advance. So those are some of the things which you can do to lower the cost without compromising the quality of the trip. Now we have 3.1. Study the information below and answer the questions that follow. So basically we have the currency, which is the pound sterling, abbreviated as GBP. Then we also have the bank buying rate, which is standing at 21.95, followed by the bank selling rate, which is 23.03. Then now the question reads, define the following concept. Gross domestic product. So we're not talking about the gross domestic product. We are basically talking about the total value. GDP refers to the total value of goods and services total value of goods and services produced within a country during a specific period. During a specific period. That refers to the total value of goods and services produced in a country during a specific period. Now, the multiplier effect, which is B, multiplier effect. The multiplier effect is a process whereby money spent by tourists circulates through the economy It circulates through the economy and benefits many sectors. So the multiplier effect, it is a process whereby money spent by tourists circulates through the economy and benefits several sectors. That is the multiplier effect. Now, 3.1.2, explain two benefits of tourism contributing to the country's GDP. So tourism, it benefits the country's GDP in the following ways. So tourism creates direct and indirect jobs. Tourism creates direct and indirect jobs. It creates direct and indirect jobs. Then in addition to that, you can also say that it increases in economic growth. Tourism increases economic growth. Tourism increases economic growth. So that is another thing. It increases economic growth. It also improves infrastructure, that is roads, airports, and facilities. Then there is also the foreign exchange earnings, which are brought in by tourists. International tourists bring foreign currency. Then there is also business growth, and tourism businesses expand. So all these are benefits of tourism. Now, 3.1.3, explain why BSR is higher than bank selling rate. So the difference between these two is BSR, that is the bank selling rate. That is the price at which banks sell foreign currency for. So the BSR is always higher than the BBR in order for banks to earn an income. This, so you can actually say that banks charge more when selling foreign currency. When selling foreign currency. Remember, banks are businesses. So when they are selling, they charge more in order to make profit. To make profit as well, they charge more in order to make profit. That is why they do that. Then 3.1.4, GBP, that is the Great British Pound. Upon arrival, Mike and his mom exchanged GBP 5,000 for South African Rand. Calculate how much they received in Rand, round off to the nearest two decimal places. So in order to for you to change from foreign currency, we need to establish a rule here. From Forex to Rand, when you are exchanging from foreign currency to Rand, you multiply by B. The bank is buying, so you multiply by BBR. So in this case, we are going to say 5,000 multiplied by 21.95, which at the end of the day would give us 109,000 rands 750. So from Forex to rands, you multiply by BBR. Now, while in South Africa, the Great British Pound or GB 3,500 pounds was spent on transport and accommodation. Calculate how much money was spent in rands. So the formula remains the same. 3,500 multiplied by our bank buying rate, which remains 21.95, will give us 76,825. That's how you get it. Now, moving on to the next one. Mike and his mother, he had, let's see how much change did they have. They had 1,500 left at the end of their trip, and exchanged the money for pounds at OR Tambo International Airport. Now here, we need to determine what's happening here. So we are now saying, we are doing the opposite of what we have been doing there. We are now saying from Rand to Forex, multiply by BSR, the bank selling rate. So we are taking 1,500 multiplied by 2303. Which will give us in pounds, that is the symbol for the pound, That will give us that will give us 65 pounds and 12 cents. All right, 3.1.7. Explain one effect of the buying power for South African tourists visiting UK with regards to the exchange rate above. So South Africans will receive, if you look at this, South Africans will receive fewer pounds. They will receive fewer pounds. So this means that we have less buying power. They will have less buying power. Abroad. They will have less buying power when they are abroad. All right, now the next question is saying the different correct currency symbols for the following currencies. So the euro looks like this. That is the symbol of the of the euro. That is the symbol of the euro. Then moving on to the next one, the Japanese yen. The Japanese yen would look like this. That is your Japanese yen. Then your Australian dollar, it should look like this. Then your US dollar should look like this. So those are the different currency symbols for those currencies. Now moving on to the next question, read the information below and answer the questions that follow. The impact of a weak rand. A weak rand can have both a positive and a negative impact in the tourism industry. And on the South African economy, poverty and unemployment is a dilemma many people are faced with. This situation cannot be allowed to continue. Refer to the scenario above, write a paragraph in which you discuss how a weak rand can help alleviate poverty and unemployment in South Africa. So, a weak rand is actually good for tourism. A weak rand would be ideal for tourism simply because it would give international visitors who are coming from abroad more buying power. So we can state it like this. We start with this one. A weak rand makes South Africa a value for money destination. It makes South Africa a value for money destination. What does that mean in simpler terms? So in simpler terms, South African products, South African travel in products become cheaper for inbound tourists. They become cheaper for inbound tourists. They find everything to be cheaper in this site. They become cheaper for foreign tourists or inbound tourists. So tourists can buy more services, can buy more goods and services in South Africa. Tourists can buy more goods and services in South Africa. Then in addition to that, we can also say that our foreign tourists are encouraged to visit South Africa. are encouraged to visit South Africa. So more foreign tourists are encouraged to visit South Africa. Then tourist spending is likely going to increase. Now let's look at how this scenario will contribute to the multiplier effect. This contributes to the multiplier effects in the following ways. This contributes to the multiplier effect. This contributes to the multiplier effect. It contributes to the multiplier effect. In the following ways. It contributes to the multiplier effect in the following ways. Increased spending. Increased spending benefits tourist businesses. Increased spending benefits tourism businesses. They will benefit tourism businesses. More jobs are created directly and indirectly. More jobs are created directly and indirectly. Then in addition to that, our government receives more revenue. Government receives more revenue or more tax. More revenue or more tax to spend on social services. To spend on social services and economic development. So there is more money in the government coffers. So the income circulates through the economy. Income circulates through the economy. The income separates through the economy. Then, in addition to that, poverty may be reduced. May be reduced. Now, moving on to the next question. The next question is tourism, attractions, culture, heritage, and marketing. So it reads, study the icons below and answer the questions that follow. So there are various icons. There is A, there is B, then there is C. So they need the names of them icons. So the first icon is known as the Big Ben. That is the giant clock tower in London. It is also known as the Elizabeth Tower. It is also known as the Elizabeth Tower. Then looking at B, we are talking about the floating markets in Thailand, sorry. Floating markets in Thailand. The floating markets in Thailand, or you can say the Bangkok floating markets. Then you can also say the floating market of Thailand, which is also acceptable. Then the next one, that is Machu. Machu or Machu Picchu. Next one will be the Machu Picchu. Name the icons A and B. That has been done. Then give the historical significance of icon C. Icon C, it was an important Machu Picchu was an important settlement for the Inca civilization. It was an important settlement for the Inca civilization. Then it was built by the Inca people. Inca people. Then in addition to that, we can also say that it is one of the most preserved archaeological sites of the best preserved archaeological sites, also known as the Lost City. So it's of archaeological significance. Then in addition to that, we can also add that it reflects history and heritage of Peru. It reflects the history of Peru and the heritage of Peru. That is why it's significant. All right, state the city or area where the icon is situated. It is situated in an area called Cusco. It is located in Cusco or Cusco with the letter Z. Then that is in the Andes Mountains in Peru. Then 4.1.4, explain why icon A is a symbol of England. So icon A, that is the Big Ben. It is the Big Ben. Ben is one of the most recognized landmarks in the UK. It is one of the most recognized landscape in UK, associated with British history. Besides British history, it is also associated with, it is used in tourism, marketing, and international media. Then it is located next to Houses of Parliament. It is next to Houses of Parliament. All right, the next question. Icon B, reasons why icon B is unique. So we'll try to talk about icon B. Icon B, that is the floating markets. They are talking about these floating markets. Why is it unique? So icon B is unique. Let's see. Icon B reflects Thai culture. Then in addition to that, the waterways serve as roads. Then in addition to that, you can also say that it combines tourism and commerce. It combines tourism and commerce. Then in addition to that, you can also say that it offers a colorful and distinctive shopping experience. It offers a colorful and distinctive shopping experience. Then explain one positive impact icon B has on the country. So icon B, that is the floating markets. The floating markets, they are significant for the economy simply because they bring the floating markets bring tourist income. They bring tourist income. They create jobs. The markets create jobs for vendors, creates jobs for traders. It creates jobs for traders. Then it brings foreign exchange, foreign income, or you can call it foreign exchange. Now, moving on to the next one, the Auschwitz. Study the information below or the picture below and answer the questions that follow. The Auschwitz. Name the country and the continent where Auschwitz is located. So Auschwitz is located in Poland. Then that is in Europe, or you can call it Eastern Europe. In Europe or Eastern Europe. 4.2.2. Explain why is Auschwitz regarded as an important historical attraction. Auschwitz commemorates it commemorates the millions of people about the atrocities of the Second World War. So it actually commemorates the atrocities about what happened during the Second World War. Then in addition to that, Auschwitz, it preserves evidence of Nazi persecution. It preserves evidence of Nazi persecution during the Second World War. During the Second World War. Then in addition to that, you can also say that it educates people about human rights abuses. It educates people about human rights people. All right, all those are possible answers. 4.2.3. Discuss how attractions positively contribute positively in the country's tourism industry. So attractions create jobs, contributes through job creation, creates employment opportunities, all right. Attractions also promotes economic growth through tourist spending. Through tourist spending. In addition to that, attractions also sets the multiply effect into motion. So that is how attractions are important to the tourism industry. Moving on to 4.3, it reads, study the picture below and answer the questions that follow. So the picture which appears there, we do have the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty is located in New York City and is one of the most famous tourist attractions in the world. It was opened in 1886 and symbolizes freedom and democracy. Millions of tourists visit the attraction every year. It is marketed internationally through advertisements, movies, and social media. The attraction is managed by the National Park Service, which ensures maintenance, safety, and visitor satisfaction. Tourists enjoy ferry rides, museums, scenic views, security checks, clean facilities, trained staff to create a positive visitor experience. The attraction also provides wheelchair access and accessible facilities for people with disabilities. The Statue of Liberty creates jobs and generates incomes through tourism activities such as transport, restaurants, hotels, and souvenir sales. Its high visitor numbers, repeat visits, and positive impact on the local economy show that it is a successful tourist attraction. So 4.3.1, name the country where the Statue of Liberty is located. So the Statue of Liberty, it is located in the United States of America. It is located in USA. So the acceptable answers there is USA. You can write it as abbreviated in abbreviated form, or you can say the United States of America. So both can be used. United States of America. That is the country where the Statue of Liberty is located. Then to go to the next one, discuss why the Statue of Liberty is recognized as a global icon. The first, that it is one of the most famous landmarks, is one of the most famous landmarks in the world. That is reason number one. Globally, it is one of the most recognized landmarks globally. Then it represents USA internationally. That is the international symbol of the United States of America. It represents USA internationally. Then another thing, or another fact, is that millions of tourists visit this monument of tourist visits. So millions of tourists visits make it a global icon as well. Then 4.3.3 states two factors contributing to the success of the Statue of Liberty. So the factors are social media promotion. It is well promoted on social media platforms. It is well promoted on social media. So number one, social media promotion. Then the second one is the fact that it is also marketed well through television and movie exposure. Television and movie exposure. This is basically marketing. It is well marketed through television and movie exposure. Then just to add more onto that, 4.3.4. So we talked about marketing. In addition to that, you can also say that it has good visitor services, good or positive visitor experience. Visitor experience. Then we can identify examples, e.g., ferry rides, then guided tours as well. Ferry rides and guided tours. So that is what makes the Statue of Liberty that is what makes the Statue of Liberty successful. Then also, it consists of security measures. There is trained staff which ensures the safety of visitors. So all those contribute to the success of that particular icon. Then explain how the attraction contributes to universal access. So you can include the following things. So it has ramps, wheelchair ramps for visitors with disabilities. That is the first thing. Wheelchair ramps are provided. Then it also provides wheelchair-friendly access routes. Wheelchair-friendly access routes, which can be considered catering for the needs of the disabled. Wheelchair-friendly routes. Then in addition to that, it promotes equal access to the promotes equal access to the icon for people with special needs. For people with special needs, it can be the disabled or it can be the visually impaired. Special needs. All right, 4.3.5, explain why the Statue of Liberty is regarded as a successful tourist attraction. So it can be regarded as a successful tourist attraction, 4.3.5, simply because it has the following aspects which I'll list down. The tourist income exceeds expected targets. Then the number of tourists exceeds expected targets as well. Exceed expected targets. Then in addition to that, we can also add the fact that the income realized, I think that one we have already explored it. The income realized, it exceeds also targets. Then we can also say that repeat visits. It has repeat visits. It experiences repeat visits. Then in addition to repeat visits, you can also say that it contributes to the employment, contributes to the economy. Through job creation. So all these are factors which can make it to be considered a successful attraction. Now, going straight to question 5, read the case study below and answer the questions that follow. The Khomani cultural landscape, South Africa's 9th World Heritage Site, ancient people of their land, the Khoisan people. I think in the background you can see the Khoisan people and the landscape in which they reside in. So the Khomani cultural landscape being declared a World Heritage Site shows the acknowledgement by UNESCO of the universal value and the importance of the site as a living heritage. The Khomani and other San tribes are unique in that they descend directly from an ancient group of people that existed in Southern Africa many thousands of years ago. The Khomani San had a nomadic, constantly moving around culture, lived off the land. They used plants for medicinal purposes and for rituals. Few of the tribe members still practice their traditional hunter-gatherer lifestyle. The Khomani San are skilled trekkers using traps, spears, bows, arrows, and coated with snake venom or poison or poisonous plants when hunting. Many of the Khomani San also earn an income from tourism by selling traditional jewelry and artifacts to tourists. Give the name of the province where the World Heritage Site in this article is located. So the name of the province is the Northern Cape. This province is known as the Northern Cape. That is the Northern Cape. Then state according or the type of World Heritage Site the Khomani landscape is according to UNESCO's classification. This is a cultural World Heritage Site. This is a cultural World Heritage site. Then in addition to that, we need to alternatively, you can also say that it's a cultural landscape. Since it's not one site, it's actually a landscape, so it's a cultural landscape. Cultural landscape. So that is the first one. 5.2, draw and complete the table according to regarding to the World Heritage Sites listed in the table. So the first one we have the Barberton Makonjwa Mountains. So they need the name of the province that they are located in Mpumalanga. Mpumalanga, that's where you find the Barberton Makonjwa Mountains. Then Mapungubwe Cultural Landscape is located in Limpopo. Then the Human Rights and Nelson Mandela legal sites, they are located in various provinces. It's not only one province, various provinces, which include Gauteng, which includes KZN, which also includes the Free State, and also the Western Cape, and also the Eastern Cape as well. So those are the names of the provinces. Now let's start with the Barberton Makonjwa Mountains. They need a description of it, a brief description. Barberton Makonjwa Mountains are known for being the oldest geological formations. The oldest geological formations in the world. That is the first thing, being the oldest geological formations. They date to billions of years ago, geological formations. In addition to them being the oldest geological formations, they provide evidence of the history of the Earth. Provide evidence for the Earth's geological history. They provide evidence for the Earth's geological history. Then, in addition to that, we can also say that they are an outstanding geological heritage site. They are an outstanding geological heritage site. Sites. So this can answer that particular question. Then moving on to the two, Mapungubwe and human rights. This one, we'll take it straight to the whiteboard so that we can have more space where we can slot it in. So starting with Mapungubwe. Mapungubwe cultural landscape. Cultural landscape. is known or is well known for the archaeological evidence of an ancient African kingdom. It is known for providing evidence of an ancient African kingdom. So it has evidence of trade in the early years in Southern Africa. It shows evidence of trade in the early years in Southern Africa. In addition to that, it also reflects early state formation. It has evidence, it has archaeological evidence of early state formation. It has evidence of early state formation. Then that is Mapungubwe. Now going on to the Nelson Mandela legacy sites. So these are several sites, it's not only one place. They commemorate Nelson Mandela's life and legacy. They commemorate Nelson Mandela's life, and they also commemorate his legacy. Then in addition to that, these sites are associated with the struggle against apartheid. They are associated with the struggle against apartheid. Then in addition to that, they promote human rights and reconciliation. These sites promote human rights. They promote human rights and reconciliation. So that's why these sites are of importance. Now back to our question paper. All right, study the picture below and answer the questions that follow. So we have them, entrance to the Marupeng, Visitor Center, a part of the World Heritage Site, 4 hominid sites of South Africa. So the first question would say, name the province where this part of the World Heritage Site is situated. It is situated in Gauteng. It is situated in Gauteng province. Then, although other hominid sites extend to the Northwest province. Then the question now reads, mention 2 World Heritage Sites located in KZN. We do have the Maluti, Drakensberg Park, and the Isimangaliso Wetland Park. Then the next question, discuss 2 roles regarding of UNESCO regarding World Heritage Sites. So number 1, They are involved in identification and listing of World Heritage Site. And listing of World Heritage Sites. That is the organization which identifies and lists World Heritage sites. So the first step is identification. The next step is protection and conservation. And conservation of World Heritage Sites. Of World Heritage Sites. They are involved in protection and conservation of World Heritage Sites. Then in addition to that, you can also say that they monitor, they are involved in monitoring. They're involved in monitoring the condition of sites. They are responsible for monitoring the condition of sites, and they also assist in conserving the site. They provide funding and technical support. They provide funding and technical support. Then they create awareness. And lastly, they also promote international cooperation. They promote international cooperation. In protecting heritage resources. So these are the main duties of UNESCO. Now moving on to the next one, that is question 6, marketing. So when we look at this question, study the logos below and enable, which enable you to answer the questions that follow. Define the concept of branding. So branding is basically, branding is creating a unique image. It is mainly about creating a unique image or developing a recognizable identity. A recognizable identity. It is when a company or an organization or a country develops a recognizable identity. Then, in addition to that, explain why branding is important for South Africa as a tourist destination. All right, branding helps South Africa to stand up. It helps South Africa to stand up or to stand out, as a unique destination. Out as a unique destination. So it enables South Africa to stand out as a unique destination. Then it encourages tourists to visit South Africa. Encourages tourists to visit SA. So these are the two benefits. Now the other question, it says, explain 2 benefits of marketing South Africa internationally. So marketing South Africa internationally has the following benefits. It has the following benefits. Let's try to squeeze in above them. 6.1.3. Marketing South Africa SA internationally Marketing South Africa internationally attracts more international tourists. More international tourists. It attracts more international tourists. In addition to that, it boosts foreign currency earnings. It boosts South Africa's foreign currency earnings. Then in addition to that, it promotes economic growth. Economic growth. It also increases investment and job creation. Investment and job creation. It increases investments and job creation. Then 6.1.4 mention two opportunities used by South Africa to market internationally. So the main opportunities used by South Africa is the World Travel Market, which is abbreviated as WTM. Its abbreviation is WTM. And the ITB, which is also abbreviated, or in full, it is actually the International Travel Bourse, which takes place in London. The World Travel Market takes place in London, then ITB in Berlin. All right, explain how SA tourism contributes to South Africa becoming a tourist destination. All right, they do it through the following methods. So method number one is they create SA tourism, creates destination awareness. Destination awareness. It creates destination awareness. That is the first thing. Then after destination awareness, they are involved in brand creation or brand management. They manage the South African brand management. Then in addition to that, they also form trade partnerships. They form trade partnerships with others. Then they encourage visitor growth. Visitor growth as well. We also encourage visitor growth. So that is how they are involved in making South Africa to become a tourism destination of choice. Then moving on to the next one, state the role of TOMSA in tourism. Okay, TOMSA collects tourism levies used to fund marketing initiatives or international marketing initiatives. So they collect the money which is used to fund international marketing initiatives. Then, in addition to that, we can say that TOMSA helps market South Africa internationally and locally. It helps to market South Africa locally and abroad. In addition to that, it generates funds. It generates funds for tourism growth. So it helps generate funds for tourism growth. Then the next question is how many percent is the TOMSA levy? The TOMSA levy is 1%. You can write it even like this. So that is those are the functions of TOMSA, and that is 6.22 as well. Now moving on to section E, domestic and regional and international tourism. So question 7 reads, study the information below and answer the questions that follow. So we do have the logo of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, United 2026. Then in the background, there is a trophy. So identify the sporting event shown in the picture above. So that's the FIFA World Cup. You can also say that that is the Soccer World Cup. Or you can say that is the Football World Cup, or any of those can be acceptable answers. So name and explain one disadvantages that a host country may experience after hosting a global event. All right, the host country may experience or may spend large sums of money They may spend large sums of money on stadiums, and infrastructure, resulting in debts. So that is the first thing. Then you can also state the fact that the maintenance costs are high. Maintenance of infrastructure. Costs of infrastructure are high. Maintenance costs of infrastructure are high. That is another challenge. Then we can also say that there's also the environmental impact. Large events may create pollution and environmental damage. Then in some cases, there might be displacement of communities whereby certain people need to relocate or to move away from their places in order to pave way for new infrastructure. So people might be displaced. Then one positive impact these events may have on international tourism. All right, indeed, they also have a very, very good positive impact. So we are going to discuss the impact below them. Some global events result in increased tourist arrivals. They result in increased tourist arrivals. They attract international visitors, which results in increased foreign currency earnings. Then in addition to that, you can also say that they result in infrastructure development. The development of infrastructure. Then in addition to that, it results in employment creation. So all those are good things which are associated with hosting the FIFA World Cup. Then 7.2, study the pictures below and answer the questions that follow. Identify the examples of the following situations shown in the pictures. Political situations. So the first one, that is protest action. We can also call it civil unrest. You can also call it civil unrest. Then you can also call it civil disturbances. Then the next question, unforeseen occurrences. Perhaps that one can be a natural disaster. Disaster, we are not so sure about what caused that. Perhaps it's an earthquake. Perhaps it's a tornado. Or it can be a seismic event. Seismic event, or it can be a building collapse as a result of an earthquake. So the next question is says, explain the impact of these situations, what these situations have on international tourism. All right, these situations have a negative impact on tourism. Impact of tourism on tourism because they lead to cancellation, trip cancellations, flight cancellations. They also lead to travel warnings. Travel warnings. They lead to negative publicity. They lead to negative publicity. Then they result in job losses for people working in the tourism industry. They end up losing their job losses. So they are largely negative because people wouldn't want to come to a country which is experiencing any of those events. It poses their lives or it puts their lives in danger. 8.1, study the information on South Africa's tourist arrivals and answer the questions that follow. International arrivals in South Africa in 2023. There was total arrivals of 8.4 million. From America, there was 455. Africa by air, 257,000. Africa land, 6 million. Unspecified 12, that is, yes, there was another unspecified amount. Then from Asia, Australasia, 359. From Europe, 1,200 and what? Now let's go straight to the question and determine what the question needs. Define the concept of international arrivals. International arrivals refer to the visitors entering South Africa. Visitors entering South Africa. South Africa from other countries for tourism. From other countries for tourism. They enter South Africa for tourism, business, or other purposes. Then 8.1.2, what is the total number of international arrivals in South Africa in 2023? That is 8,483,333. So 8,483,333. Where are we getting the figure? This is the figure which we are talking about, which answers question 8.12. Then moving on to the next question. Which region contributed the highest number of arrivals? Name the region and state the arrivals. So the region which contributed the highest number is Africa Land Markets. Africa Land Markets. Land Markets. contributed 6,153,017. So that is the contribution from Africa. Then why do you think African land travels are much more higher than air travels? Traveling is easy by land for neighboring countries, is easier by land for neighboring countries. It's easier by land for neighboring countries. Then we can also say that distance, there are shorter distances. Distances are shorter. Then which also means that the costs are shorter. Then many travelers also cannot afford air travel. Then regional travel agreements may make land travel easier. Buses, taxis, and private vehicles are widely used. So that's why there are much more land arrivals there. Suggests ways South Africa can attract more international arrivals from Asia, Australasia, and the Middle East. So this can be done by marketing campaigns, In addition to that, easier visa processes, visa processing, easier visa processing. Then in addition to that, digital marketing. Then in addition to that, you can also say trade shows. Then you can also say that designing special packages and promotions, and promotion of SA destinations, in South Africa. Then in addition to that, we also have the term source market, which is 8.1.6. The term source market. So they need a definition of the term source market. The term source market is the country or region from which tourists originate from. That is the source market. Where are the tourists coming from? Are they coming from Africa? Are they coming from Asia? Are they coming from Australasia? So that is defined as a source market, where people are coming from. So the country supplying tourists. Supplying tourists is also known as the source market. In addition to that, you can also say that it's a region generating visitors for tourist businesses, or you can say the origin of tourists traveling to a destination. Okay, I would want to thank you. We have reached the end of this particular video for the June 2026 exam. We expect to see you in upcoming videos. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Welcome to Thundereduc, an online learning platform powered by professional, highly skilled and qualified educators.
We deliver structured CAPS aligned lessons for high school subjects, including mathematics, physical sciences, life sciences, geography, business studies, history, accounting, English, Afrikaans, and others.
For the intermediate and senior phases, we offer expert teaching in natural sciences, mathematics, social sciences, English, and EMS, designed to build strong academic foundations.
Access the distinction material books by clicking join button on our YouTube channel, or download Thundereduc app on Google Play Store for all our study material and past exam papers.
Thundereduc offers extra classes for rewrites, old curriculum, and other students from grade 4 to grade 12 through online and physical classes.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Thundereduc, for reliable curriculum-focused learning, and stay updated updated with the latest educational content.
Please like, share, and turn on notifications so you never miss a lesson.
Visit us at www.thundereduc.com
Or call 0786 636 613 or 084 833 1738 for more details.
Thunder Educ. We focus on quality.